Hello everybody, Maven here, and are you a Titan trapped in a Warlock's body, or perhaps a Titan main who wants to take a break? Well, today have I got the Warlock build for you. As you know, the meta Titan build right now, or rather the meta build in all of Destiny 2 PvE, is Prismatic Titan with the exotic class item combining the perks of Heart of Inmost Light and Synthoceps. Everyone and their mom is rocking this build right now because it's the most OP thing in the entire game and turns any kind of content into a cakewalk, even Grandmaster Nightfalls. But did you know that Heart of Inmost Light and Synthoceps are universal perks on the exotic class items of all three characters, meaning you can technically do the same thing on Hunter and Warlock if you wanted to. And as you can see in the background gameplay, instead of abusing Consecration, we are on Warlock abusing the Electro Slide melee. May not be as strong as Consecration, but it does the job. But I originally made this build with one intent in mind, and that's ability spam. The Synthoceps is just icing on the cake, but this is one of, if not the single most ability spammy Warlock build I ever made. It's quite literally back-to-back infinite abilities, as you can probably tell, and I never thought that'd be possible outside of the Arc subclass, but I guess I was wrong. It's just that Warlock already has so many amazing options in the ad clear department that builds like this go undiscovered and left in the shadows. So without further ado, let's break it down. Hope you enjoy. This video is sponsored by Advanced GG, the only clinically proven gaming supplement shown to improve your gaming performance. Use code Maven at checkout for 25% off your order for this holiday weekend only. After that, it'll be going back down to 10%. So check them out in the link down below. Thank you. So let's begin by taking a look at our exotic perks. The Heart of Inmost Light says that using an ability will empower your other two abilities for 5 seconds, making them recharge faster, and this can stack up to 2 times if you use multiple abilities back to back in quick succession. 1 stack grants you 4 times ability regenerate, and 2 stacks grants you 8 times ability regen. I know 5 seconds may not be a long time, but with that huge multiplier, 5 seconds is all you really need to pretty much chain abilities. Now for the other half of our class item, we got the Synthoceps, which buffs your melee attacks by 165% when surrounded. So to make sure that's true, I decided to give it a test here against Carl. Starting out with our base Lightning Surge with no buffs, it hits him for 44,539 damage to set the bar, which is not much. And before testing Synthos for a comparison, the Apex Predator Rocket Launcher is hitting for 98,329 per shot, and finally with Synthoceps, we hit him for 109,262 damage, plus we applied Jolt, which just adds another DOT. And of course, it's quite a bit more spammable than a rocket launcher. So yeah, just the thought of having infinite jolting rocket melees is pretty insane, and if you're a Titan player, you know what that's like. Lightning Surge may not be as good as Consecration, but still, the proof is in the pudding. You've seen it for yourself. It's good enough for what it is. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I've gone back to being a Titan main this season, and I have been exclusively playing the quote-unquote meta build, but instead of Inmost Light, I've been using Assassin's Cowl so I can go Invis on my Consecration final blows. The ability spam may be watered down, but the survivability skyrockets when one can be an Invis Titan. But on Warlock, we don't even need to consider replacing Inmost Light for Assassin's Cowl for even a second, and the reason why is because survivability is not a problem due to the fact that we can rock the Feed the Void aspect, which grants us Devour on an ability final blow, and having Devour means we heal after every kill. So Warlock is all well and good when it comes to survival, and survival is key to a strong PvE build. But this isn't the only function of Feed the Void. Not only does it give Devour, but it gives us Super Devour. It's actually a stronger version of just base Devour. As you may know, Final Blows while Devour is active grants grenade energy, but with Feed the Void it grants increased grenade energy, and even increased health regen for that matter. So this is the main way we're able to spam nades. Between Inmost Light and this, it literally just takes a few seconds to get your nade back consistently. But we do have one more thing to help it, and this kind of ties into how we're getting back our melees as well, and that's going to be our weapon of choice, the Aberrant Action with Enhanced Demolitionist and Pugilist. This is my main weapon for ability spam builds because it's nuts for recharging your nade in melee. Final blows grant 12% nade and melee energy when enhanced, and it's super easy to get final blows since it is a rocket sidearm, and I'm sure you're aware of how hard those hit. So yeah, this thing is helping our melee, and we got some fragments to help our melee as well. We got Faceted Balance, so rapid light final blows grant melee energy. Then we got Faceted Awakening, which is benefiting all 3 of our abilities. It says that rapid final blows with a certain element will create an elemental pickup of that damage type. So therefore, rapid arc final blows from our Electro Slide will make an ionic trace, which can benefit all 3 of our abilities. When we get rapid solar final blows with our Aberrant Action, it'll make a fire sprite for grenade energy. And if we get rapid void final blows with our vortex nade or our super, it'll make a void breach, which grants class ability energy. But you pair that along with the artifact mods served cold right now, it says that picking up a void breach will also grant melee energy. Now we do have more ways to get melee energy, and that segues us into our mod setup. Now this build is spammy as it is, just with Inmost Light and our rocket sidearm, but this mod setup is what really makes it cohesive and consistent. I messed around with it for hours until settling on this, and I think you'll see my point once I explain it. So if you're focused on ability spamming, you'd probably focus on nades and melees, right? So you'd probably run things like momentum transfer and impact induction, but instead we're running focusing strike and bolstering detonation, which recharge class ability on grenade or melee hits. And you'd probably run innervation, but instead we're rocking insulation for class ability on orb pickup. And you'd probably run bomber, but instead of all things we're running utility kickstart. So what the heck is with all this fixation on our class ability? Our Phoenix dive really does nothing for us but proc outreach. We have no Hellion, no bomber, so what's the deal? Well, the deal is that when it comes to the Heart of Inmost Light perk, in order to get ×2 empowerment on an ability, you have to utilize your other 2 abilities. So to put it simply, if we want 8 times grenade regen, we gotta utilize our melee and our class ability, and vice versa for our other abilities. So while our Phoenix Dive doesn't really do anything, it's crucial to our Inmost Light and therefore our ability spam as a whole. But some of you still might be wondering why we're running Utility Kickstart instead of something like Grenade Kickstart. Well, think about it. We have a Rocket Sidearm and our Omega Devour to already recharge our grenade really fast. And we have Invigoration, Balance, Outreach, and our Rocket Sidearm to consistently charge our melee. But think about this. What do we have to recharge our class ability? Nothing. Our class ability is definitely in the most dire need here, and that's why we have all these mods focused on getting it back. Besides our mods and Facet of Awakening, the one thing we have to help it is Facet of Hope, which grants us an alleged plus 60% regen for our class ability while we have an elemental buff, and that'll be active at all times since we'll always have Devour. And long story short, try to get Devour before you become amplified. It's a very long story, but if you want to know what I'm talking about, just watch this video here by Keybro titled "You Might Be Using This Fragment Wrong, Facet of Hope," and you'll learn a lot from it. Now, the whole basis of this build has now been explained, so let's continue breaking down the rest of what hasn't been mentioned yet. Our other fragments include resistance to be tankier when surrounded, and dominance so our vortex nades cause weaken. And for the rest of our mods, since our boots consist of 3 mods that grant ability energy on orb pickup, it's safe to say that orbs are very important. So with that said, we can make orbs with Reaper on the class item, heavy-handed on our gloves, and Solar Siphon on our helmet. And our aberrant action is so important to the consistency of our build, which is why we have double special ammo finders on our helmet, as well as solar reserves on our chest. And additionally, after recent popular information, remember to run high explosive ordnance on your aberrant action, which will grant it 5 extra reserves, and that should help out quite a bit. And when it comes to our loadout, optimally, I think it should look something like this: Outbreak Perfected, Aberrant Action, and Banshee's Chill Inhibitor. Outbreak does grant quite a bit of transcendent energy, which is useful because all of our abilities are light-based, so it's nice to have a method of getting dark energy. Plus, it does give us an unstoppable option. Lightning Surge already jolts, so it deals with overloads, and if you need to deal with barriers, you can just run Revision 0 or Wish Ender instead. But if you're doing easy content with no champions, you could consider the Monte Carlo for more melee energy. And the Versus Chill Inhibitor just gives us a DPS option, but generally I prefer to run an Eager Edge Sword, but it depends on the kind of content. And for our stat distribution, obviously gotta have that 100 resilience since it's PvE, but the rest is pretty difficult. Since it's an ability spam build, we obviously want 100 stats in recovery, discipline, and strength as well, but getting quad hundreds here is unfeasible, so just try to get as close as you can. I'd recommend tier 6 or 7 recovery, then investing the rest in discipline and strength. And that about does it for the build. For the gameplay loop, when starting off an encounter, I recommend nading into Phoenix Diving immediately before going on your melee spree, since those only have 1 charge as opposed to your 3 melee charges with your needles, so you want to get them going sooner. And remember to use your nade and Phoenix Dive whenever they're available. Do not save them, just use them the instant they come back so you can keep that Inmost Light going. Do not let up. Spam to your heart's content, and use your aberrant action either when an enemy is too far or when there's a secluded trash mob not worth wasting an ability on. And typically when I throw a grenade at a pile of adds, I'll use my aberrant action on them instead of electro sliding. And of course, pick up orbs whenever you have the chance, since we're not rocking Powerful Attraction. But if you wanted to run Powerful Attraction over Outreach, that's your call and I wouldn't argue with it. Final thoughts, this is a very, very strong Warlock build, and I'm not exaggerating just for the video. It's not often that I play Warlock in PvE. I only main it in PvP, but when I do play it in PvE, I could see this being my main build for the foreseeable future. It's just so consistent and strong, and you can't go wrong. Those Syntho Electro Slides on top of your weakened nades just nuke everything and hit like a truck. But is it stronger than the popular Getaway Artist Prismatic build? Well, for tougher endgame content, especially with champions, probably not, because area control reigns supreme in that type of content. But in most kinds of general content where you're running and gunning and don't have time to set up shop anywhere, this build would definitely be far more effective in my opinion, because it's not as slow and defensive as the Getaway Artist build. This build is more fast and aggressive, so all the ads will be dead and you'll be running to the next area by the time the Getaway Artist guy finishes popping his turret. And as a fast-paced aggressive player such as myself, this Inmost Syntho build definitely tickles my fancy more. Getaway Artist may be the more robust build, but this one definitely slays out harder. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you the end screen of that Onslaught run I did in the background gameplay, and you'll see what I mean. Each of my blueberries got 300 kills, and I got over 1,600 kills. That just goes to show how hard this build tears through mobs like nothing. I seriously think this build has meta potential if more people knew about it, so that's where you come in. If you have any buddies who are Warlock mains, it would mean a lot if you consider sharing this video with them. This is a build that any Warlock player could have a blast with, or any Titan player for that matter, because this is a Titan build on Warlock after all. And as always, a dim loadout link for the build will be down below in the description, and also the pinned comment if you'd like to give it a try. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments, and that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you are new. Would love to have you here for more content on the way. And remember to check out our sponsor, Advanced GG, in the link down below. Use code Maven and check out for 25% off your order this weekend only. After that, it's going to go back to 10%. So that's going to wrap it up. Happy holidays, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.